Hello and welcome to my major project presentation. My name is Anita Massey and today I will be talking about my thoughts on the future of advertising, exploring key trends for the future. I'll also be talking about where I see myself in the advertising world and my career aspirations. So to start off, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 28 years old and I live in Buckinghamshire in the UK. I graduated with a BA in photography at Falmouth University in 2014 and started out working as a professional photographer in a portrait studio when I graduated. After a couple of years of working at a studio, I found myself craving a job that involved more strategic thinking as well as utilising my creative side. So advertising and marketing piqued my interest. Alongside pursuing this MA in advertising planning and strategy, I started working at a fast-paced digital marketing agency, gaining experience in all aspects of marketing from client and account management to content creation, marketing strategy and social media and lots more. I currently work in a digital marketing role within the charity sector for the National Rheumatoid Arthritis Society, or NRAS for short. NRAS is the only patient-led organisation that supports people living with rheumatoid arthritis and juvenile idiopathic arthritis in the UK. You can call them RA or JIA for short. We are a small team in terms of, we're a small charity in terms of team members, but our services and membership run on a national level and impact tens of thousands of people living with RA and JIA. Some of my key achievements during my time working at NRAS include helping launch 2 brand new websites in 2020, working collaboratively with our web and digital media manager, and also implementing Facebook Lives as a part of the digital strategy. This resulted in an increase of engagement on social media and donations. In 2020 alone, we hosted 27 Facebook Live events, gaining nearly 400,000 impressions in total. I also personally hosted 2 Facebook Live events interviewing people with RA and JIA, which were watched by hundreds of people. I also played an integral part in moving offline events and activities to online platforms during the start of COVID-19. This work resulted in increasing our overall engagement rate from 4.8% in 2019 to 8% in 2020 across all social media channels. So now that you've heard a little bit about me and my current role, let's talk about advertising trends and ones that I find interesting and exciting. So one of the key trends we're going to be talking about is purpose-driven brands. Now, brand purpose within advertising is by no means a new concept. It's in fact one of the most fundamental ways a brand can show consumers what they care about and why. But what exactly is brand purpose? A well-renowned creative branding and communications agency called The Team have an apt definition. They say, your brand purpose is a short statement that describes why your organisation exists and the value you create for society. Your aspirational reason for being, beyond profits. It should connect with human values and demonstrate humanity in a transparent world. In his monumental TED Talk in 2009, Simon Sinek said that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This, now more than ever, rings true in a post-pandemic world as there has been increased scrutiny on businesses and brands. Many brands have been held responsible for not only the way they've treated their customers, but also how they've treated employees during this difficult economic climate. Brand purpose as a concept has evolved into something more than just a statement that companies have on their website just to tick a box. Consumers are now more driven to find the purpose and the why of many brands, and are more committed to stick by brands that align with their values and that take social responsibility. At the same time, consumers are not afraid to speak out against brands that fall short of their brand purpose and fail to deliver during trying times. The pub chain Wetherspoons, for example, was amongst one of the brands that were boycotted during 2020 for putting profits above their employees. The chairman of Wetherspoons, Tim Martin, was seen as abandoning Wetherspoons employees by not paying them for weeks until the company's government grant was received. Another pivotal part of 2020 that has conceivably changed brand purpose forever is the rise of brand activism and the significant support of social justice movements by brands, namely the Black Lives Matter movement. With diversity being a big part of the ethos of many organisations, it can feel like an empty promise to consumers that don't actively see them demonstrating this in the form of workplace diversity. Companies can be seen as virtue signalling, not following through on promises set by their brand purpose. In 2018, Nike launched a bold advertising campaign with American football star Colin Kaepernick, who was dropped by the NFL after taking a knee during the national anthem before a 2016 match. This was done in protest against police brutality in the US.
Your dreams are crazy. If they laugh at what you think you can do, good. Because calling a dream crazy is not an insult, it's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest in your school. Be the fastest ever. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. If you have only one hand, don't just watch football, play it. And if you're a girl from Compton, become the greatest athlete ever. Yeah, that's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
Nike faced many protests and boycott threats following their decision to feature Kaepernick in their campaign, but were also commended for their stance. They saw a jump in sales, which clearly indicated that their solidarity with Kaepernick was being repaid by the consumer. However, soon after their jump in sales, the attention then shifted onto Nike's own diversity as a company. Public records had shown that in 2019, less than 10% of its 300 vice presidents worldwide were black. In a statement released in June 2020, Nike CEO John Donohue said that in the past year, Nike has actually stepped up their own efforts and measures of accountability in the areas of diversity, inclusion and belonging, to foster an inclusive environment and to attract a more diverse workforce. The company has also made a pledge of $40 million over the next 4 years to support the black community in the US. This shows that authenticity is now the key to brand purpose being successful in the eye of the conscious consumer. Consumers can no longer be fooled by bold statements made by brands. Instead, they require transparency and evidence of how brands are actively embodying their brand purpose. Research has also shown that millennials and Gen Z are most likely to support companies that share their values, and they're prepared to walk away from those that don't hold themselves accountable to those values. In their 2021 Global Marketing Trends report, Deloitte have highlighted purpose as a key trend. In their report, they state that organizations that know why they exist and who they are built to serve are uniquely positioned to navigate unprecedented change. This suggests that brands that are more in tune with their brand purpose are more likely to survive trying times, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Consumers now don't only want good quality products, they want them from brands seeking to do good and that align with their own values. So the second trend I'll be talking about is the use of immersive technology within advertising. Now, it's no secret that advertisers are finding it much harder to capture and hold users' attention beyond a few seconds. This ad fatigue experienced by consumers is a significant challenge that marketing and advertising practitioners are currently facing. This is present especially on social media platforms where users see the same ad too many times and get frustrated or bored with it. Brands are now turning to newer and more interactive methods of advertising, utilizing immersive and engaging online technologies to improve customer experiences. One way brands are using immersive technologies is by creating virtual spaces that replicate the in-store buying experience. These interactions help consumers determine whether the product fits their needs and expectations, giving them more confidence in online purchase decisions. This is very timely in the current climate where physical stores have been unable to open, and that's forced shoppers to turn to online shopping for most of their needs. Consumer and buying behaviours are changing, and research shows that 49% of shoppers are likely to shop online more frequently after the COVID-19 pandemic. 64% of leading consumer brands are also starting to invest in immersive experiences, showing that this is a huge digital trend that is being adopted by many brands. Immersive virtual experiences are another way brands and charities in particular are reaching consumers using technology such as virtual reality, 360 and augmented reality. These technologies had previously been seen as inaccessible to charities due to expense. However, due to innovations in these new technologies, organisations are being able to use self-service platforms to create their own experiences without the need for code or developers, making these technologies cheaper and more accessible for them. Charities are able to tell more immersive and impactful stories and visually show supporters the impact their donations could have. Charities such as Oxfam have already utilised these self-service platforms. In 2020, Oxfam created an interactive 360 world filled with positive video clips and images of a village in northern Ghana called Garu, showing how the village is thriving by using solar-powered water pumps provided by Oxfam. This interactive world transports the viewer to the village where they can meet the people most impacted by supporter donations and Oxfam's work. These new and innovative opportunities that are available for charities are an exciting way for charities to tell their story and communicate their cause in a more immersive and engaging way, moving away from traditional charity appeals that audiences have perhaps started to expect. Now, the last trend I would like to explore is the use of artificial intelligence in advertising. From ad production to audience targeting to ad buying, AI is changing what is possible in the world of advertising. Today, brands use AI for a variety of things to intelligently define and segment audiences, design ad creatives, test variations, improve performance, and optimize spend automatically. As consumers, we use AI every day as it's present in nearly every form of technology we use. For example, on social media, the algorithms curate your feed by showing you posts you may resonate with more than others, or digital voice assistants such as Alexa and Google Home that use natural language processing and generators driven by AI to return answers to you. There are many definitions of artificial intelligence, but they all describe AI as an intelligent machine or program that acts and thinks in ways that resemble intelligent humans. I'm personally interested in how AI can be used in the not-for-profit sector. The use of chatbots is perhaps the most prominent example of AI in a charity setting so far. Chatbots are text-based conversational interfaces powered by artificial intelligence. Most of us are already familiar with these thanks to their extensive use in the commercial customer service setting. A variety of charities are already using them to provide services of different kinds. In my current role at NRAS, we recently implemented a chatbot on our website in partnership with a digital agency called Earthware. With the sudden increase of helpline calls, which were up by 600% in March 2020 alone, this partnership was essential in helping NRAS disseminate critical information to those who desperately needed it. In a press release, the managing director of Earthware, Chris Finch, highlighted that technology can play a role in alleviating anxieties of those with health conditions that were significantly impacted by the COVID-19 crisis, and that chatbots are now becoming a more widely accepted way for individuals to access healthcare information quickly and efficiently. There is possible long-term financial opportunity for charities in that they could save a lot of money if they could provide a service through chatbots 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, rather than having to hire more staff. However, as with any example of automation, this may prove problematic and poses concerns regarding organisations' potential obligations to their human employees. Even so, cost cutting isn't the only benefit of using chatbots. There are also possible benefits for service users and supporters. One main advantage is that advice can be customised to the needs of the consumer. The time it takes to locate relevant information could also decrease significantly. This may be a real improvement over human-operated delivered advice systems for things like urgent mental health problems, where people need to be able to get the care and advice they need as soon as possible. With the increase in popularity of voice assistants, charities have now started to utilise this technology to enable voice donations. The NSPCC is one of the first charities to accept donations using Amazon Alexa. They partnered with Digital Products Studio Edition to develop GoDonate Voice, an off-the-shelf product designed to make it easier and cheaper for charities to start accepting donations via Alexa using Amazon Pay. Let's have a look at how this works.
Alexa, open NSPCC.
Welcome to the NSPCC, the UK's leading children's charity, working to protect children today and prevent abuse from happening tomorrow. Would you like to donate, find out more about NSPCC, or learn about the Pants Rule?
Donate £2.
I heard £2. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. Amazon Pay will be used to take £2 from your account. Is that okay?
Yes.
Amazon Pay will be used for your payment. £2 will be paid using Amazon Pay. More information in the Alexa app. Thank you. Your donation is complete. You're helping NSPCC protect children.
This is an exciting new method of income generation that charities could utilise as part of their digital advertising strategy. Viewers of television ads, for example, could donate to charities straight away and with ease after watching an impactful charity ad. However, tech companies such as Edition, who created GoDonate Voice, are important in designing these products and making them more accessible for charities to utilise. This is because development costs could be very expensive for charities if they were to venture into creating these products and processes themselves. Therefore, charities are somewhat reliant on these tech companies to create these new products for them to utilise. Within the last year or so, the not-for-profit sector has faced significant challenges due to the pandemic. the main challenge being the loss of income due to restrictions and lockdowns, meaning that essential income generating events couldn't take place. The struggling economic climate and the increase of unemployment in the UK also meant that individual giving has been at an all-time low. A study carried out by Pro Bono Economics has highlighted that charities are struggling to cope with a £10 billion shortfall caused by soaring demand for their services and lost fundraising income due to the pandemic. That being said, here are a couple of recommendations I can make to practitioners working within the charity sector using the key trends highlighted within this presentation. So the first recommendation would be to absolutely stick by your brand ethos and purpose, even if the charity itself is struggling. Driving your brand purpose and the reason your charity exists can keep supporters engaged and can also emphasise that you're willing to put your supporters' needs above all else, even during trying times. At NRAS, my role as a digital marketing officer played a huge part in showing our brand purpose in action. We did this by spreading essential information and urgent COVID-19 information online, which our supporters and those living with RA and JIA needed the most at that time. We embraced digital means that were then new to us in the form of live streaming through social media to communicate these important messages to our followers. Live streaming became a weekly occurrence due to the constantly changing information surrounding shielding, lockdown rules and risks to people living with RA and JIA. This dissemination of timely information was successful in easing the fear and anxieties faced by those living with health conditions, and also alleviated some of the pressures faced by NHS rheumatology departments, who were extremely stretched at the time. NRAS's mission is to enable the RA and JIA community to thrive by providing access to support, engagement, expert knowledge, research, and campaigning, all of which was reflected in the work carried out by providing this essential information at the opportune time. Another recommendation is to invest in and utilise digital technologies to bring your charity to the forefront of innovation within the sector. I do understand that it can be challenging to get buy-in from senior management teams, having been in this position myself. However, the main thing that this past year has taught us is that organisations need to embrace the digital world in order to move forward and stay relevant. Gone are the days of sponsorship forms and door-to-door collections. Our supporters very much live in the digital world, and charities must have a solid presence online in order to stay visible. Technologies such as AI chatbots, immersive digital spaces and Go Donate Voice are exciting new ways we can reach supporters. New technologies must be constantly explored to find out how charities can exploit them for their own benefit. So now I just want to talk briefly about my major project dissertation and how I intend to use this going forward within my current role. My dissertation focused on representation on invisible disability in awareness advertising. I looked at two specific adverts aiming to raise awareness for rheumatoid arthritis, one by a charity and one by a pharmaceutical company. I conducted interviews with 6 people living with RA and JIA, and the literature research I carried out gave me an understanding of ways charity advertising uses emotion to communicate certain messages and the effect that this can have on the viewer, as well as an insight into representations of disability and invisible disability. Through the findings of my study, I was able to come up with a few recommendations for advertising practitioners who work within awareness advertising. These are helpful for advertisers, communication agencies and charities themselves. The report and the research carried out behind it feeds into my current role at NRAS, and it gives me clarity on how to best represent those with invisible disability in any future campaigns. The findings can also apply to any other role that I may move on to within the charity sector, or a role within an agency that closely works within charities, healthcare companies and also pharmaceutical companies. In terms of my intended career progression, I would love to continue to work in the not-for-profit sector for a charity. The creative side of advertising has always appealed to me. However, I do enjoy the strategic thinking and planning side of advertising. So a role that contains both is one that I think I would really thrive in. As I'm currently in a senior digital marketing role, which includes managing one person in the digital team and also the ability to have a say in digital strategies, I see myself progressing into a managerial role within the next few months, ideally for a not-for-profit organisation or a healthcare company. I also have a keen interest to work for brands that have a strong sense of brand purpose that is both evident to consumers and also reflected within the organisation. Issues of disability, equality and diversity are both important to me, and any organisation that authentically support these and embody these are ones that I would like to work for. This MA in Advertising Planning and Strategy has taught me not only the fundamental teachings and theories of advertising, but also helped me explore contemporary practices, all of which have fed into my job roles working within various marketing teams during my time doing the MA. Through this course, I've developed essential skills that have served me in my current role and will continue to apply to any future roles I have within marketing and advertising. I've enjoyed meeting and collaborating with other students, some of whom were from different parts of the world and living within different cultural environments. I also have to say a special thank you to all of the tutors who've helped me throughout this MA, especially Alex Lamley and Amber Burton, who have both been very patient with me whilst I've juggled working full-time and dealing with other commitments alongside taking on this part-time MA. If I had to pick one thing, the single most important takeaway from this MA would be the ability it's given me to manage various commitments and prioritise certain aspects of my life whilst continuing to produce assignments that I'm proud of. In a way, I'm quite sad that my MA is finishing, as I got so much out of it in terms of practical knowledge and best practices that I could apply to my full-time role and have successfully applied to my full-time role. But I'm really excited about my future career prospects now that I'm well equipped with my masters. So I'll just finish off by saying I hope you've enjoyed my presentation and thank you so much for watching.